So regarding my promise to stay away from politics on this channel, it seems to be hopeless. I can't stay away from politics. I've followed it for too long. But what I want to point out is the bizarre nature of quote conservative Zionism in the United States. When I was a kid, Zionism obviously was not a conservative stance because it's the support of a foreign nation. Conservatism is nationalism. Nationalism means taking care of your people and your country. So therefore, conservatism, by its very nature, should not be for propping up a theocratic dictatorship across the world. Okay. Now, to go further, what I've noticed is even some people in like the white nationalist community will defend Israel's right to exist as a means to try and say, well, if Israel has a right to self-determination, so do white people. Well, the difference is white people have a right to self-determination in white countries. I would go further to say a lot of the concepts that the United States has always been a white country, or that the United States of America was conquered by stealing land from the Indians and all this other stuff. A lot of this comes from purposeful misrepresentation and distortion of the truth by people with an agenda. The same people with that agenda have the same agenda of flooding this country with immigrants to make everybody get at each other instead of get at the true culprit. Now, what I want to point out is this. If anybody would reclaim genuine United States conservatism, the United States would be fixed. The United States didn't accidentally become the greatest world power. It did so by an application of principles, Roman Republican principles, and being a country governed by laws and not men. Unfortunately, we have become a country governed by a popularity contest that we call the election cycle, which was never meant to be, which is why we were a constitutional republic and not a democracy. Now, why am I saying this? There's a woman named Ann Corcoran. She's an old-time conservative, very similar to me in many of my views. However, what's disturbing is she's promoting this idea that there's this split in the Jewish community over bringing in more Muslims to the United States. What people don't understand is there is no real split in the Jewish community, and I want to make this clear. I'm not anti-Jewish. I've never been anti-Jewish. A lot of the people in the life extension subculture that I have associated with are Jewish or are themselves obviously associated with Jews, because there is a lot of Jews in the scientific community. But what I want to point out is flooding this country with non-whites is not a mistake. It's a purposeful trick. And there's a guy named Steven Steinlight. Dr. Pierce did a video, or a radio broadcast that has become a video, about Steinlight's. He did a paper on the changing demography of the United States and whether or not it was good for the Jews. What I want to point out is Steven Steinlight is very open in that paper, and you can go to cis.org and actually look at the paper. But he is very open about it, the fear that he has that by Hispanics coming into the United States, Jews will lose their monopoly on the political system, because a lot of Hispanics are being elected to political office because they're more or less, and how can I put this? Hispanic people are acceptable as far as a minority goes in the United States. So, especially in the liberal communities, a lot of Jews have had a monopoly on liberalism, and this is why this paper is it's an older paper, and this explains why Jews have switched to a conservatism and have mixed into the conservatives so much, was because they saw themselves losing to Hispanics in the liberal communities because they can't compete with Hispanics in the liberal communities. And another thing that Steinlein points out is he explains how Hispanics view Jews not as a special group of people, but as the most privileged of the white race, which is what they are the most privileged. But what his point is that he fears the Hispanics taking over and pushing the Jews out from political control. This is one of the many reasons that I support Pan-Americanism. And that is because Hispanics are a very real threat to the Zionist occupation of the United States. But the thing is, you have to go about it in a way that doesn't simply fill the country with the worst people from Latin America. You want the best people from Latin America. And it's actually rather sad, because what you get is what the Trump administration has been doing is trying to paint a picture of Latin Americans as violent, aggressive, etc., while at the same time ignoring. See, now this is funny. They'll talk about various Hispanic street gangs and things like that. What you never hear the Trump administration talk about, in my area, the Bloods gang is very, very big. Okay, as are a number of black criminal gangs, and black crime is considerably big, and it's ignored by the Trump administration. What's also ignored is the fact that black on everybody violence is a real problem. And it's a problem for the black communities too. It's a problem for the black communities actually more so than anyone else. But what's interesting is you could add up the crime of all non-black immigrant groups, especially Hispanics, and it does not equal, legal or illegal, and it does not come to anywhere near the amount of black on everybody violence. And this is why people really need to start looking into ColinFlaherty.com, WhiteGirlBleedALot.com, and people need to start spreading the word about black on everybody violence and the myth of black victimization, because this is another tactic being used to break down the cohesion of the United States. Now, I personally don't plan on being in the United States much longer, but unfortunately, it seems like I'm going to be here longer than I had hoped. But my point is this: if people in the United States care at all about the cohesion of the United States of America, and care at all about the fact that the United States of America has been the most prosperous country, that has been the most capable of getting people from all over the world to work together and to make something better than elsewhere, they better start thinking about the things that I'm saying, thinking about reclaiming genuine United States conservatism, think about what the Constitution actually says, and think about the fact that there are two primary groups that refuse assimilation to the United States of America, refuse to behave like Americans, refuse to be patriotic, and at the same time continually promote anti-social and anti-American propaganda, whether we call it rap music or whether we call it any various things that the other group puts out. And the other group actually does help produce the rap music. So what my point is, and I don't blame rap music, I don't blame Hollywood, I don't blame these things, because the truth of the matter is, like I've always said, it's the white majority that is consuming these things and repeating these things and acting in ways that are unbecoming of a Caucasian United States citizen. That is who is really promoting it, is the white U.S. citizen that is parroting these behaviors, whether it be the communistic socialistic behaviors or whether it be the black urban culture. It is the white citizen that is doing that. And that's all I have to say about this video.